Hey, book babes, you're listening to Naughty Narratives, your weekly dose of hot takes, plot twists, and unfiltered book talk with your favorite romance obsessed besties, Kyla and Maddie.
Hello.
Hello.
Episode 4. Can you believe it?
I cannot. I mean, I can, but I'm just very excited to be here.
I'm also super excited. So, first episode officially releases tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
and I am so stoked.
Freaking pumped. I am very excited to see. I'm hoping it just goes well. It goes as well as we're expecting it to.
right. Same. I'm super excited. Um we read Feathers So Vicious,
We did.
book 1 of the Court of Ravens duology.
Yes.
How did you feel?
Honestly, it was a rough one for me to get into. I am not gonna lie. It was one that through the course of the week, I kept picking it up and putting it back down. I got into like 10 pages into it and I liked where it was headed. And then when we started to get to some of the more frustrating sexual scenes, that's when I started to get a little bit more hesitant on reading it. I do think it was a good book. I liked it. I don't know for sure that it's a favorite yet.
I get that. So this one was one that we saw a TikTok for that recommended it, said it was one of the best dark fantasy romances that they had read, and we were like, hell yeah.
Yes, gotta read it.
And I didn't have an issue getting into the book. I had an issue finishing it, and the reason I just knew where it was going. It was predictable, and so I was like, oh, I feel like I read it already. I didn't need to finish it.
I don't disagree with that. I felt like it was so foreshadowed that it was very easy to pick apart.
Yeah.
Like,
there were stuff that so we knew that she was going to be Raven at the end of the book. Like we knew that was coming. That was the big plot twist that we both saw coming.
right.
But there were things that once we it was officially confirmed, that then it made sense to me, like why her mom was so overprotective. I was like,
Right.
I don't know, this bitch is fucking crazy. Like I don't get it. And then I was like, oh, that's right, because it could have made her change. And yeah, but there were just things where I was like, she's just a not loved person and has never, like, her mom's just a bitch. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even with her mom, trying to shelter her from her abilities and things like that, I still think that the bitchiness just went above and beyond what it needed to. It was excessive. I found it weird that her dad treated her the same way ultimately, because I mean, I know that we kind of discussed that she more than likely is not his daughter, but does he know that? I
I don't
mean,
think he does.
I don't feel like she'd be allowed to live if he did.
I don't think her mom would be
Yeah,
allowed to live.
yeah.
I
I
think
feel
that
like
was why she was so protective of hiding her abilities from her dad, was so that, or from her dad,
mhm,
was so that way um he wouldn't know that she wasn't his daughter.
mhm.
But at what point do you kind of put two and two together? Like for me, if every other kid that you have had be conceived has died either shortly after childbirth or during the pregnancy, but your daughter's lived miraculously.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I feel like maybe he isn't thinking about it that in depth. Like, he just cares if he gets a son or not to someday take over, and so maybe he's not. I don't know. I am curious if we're going to hear more about. Well, I'm sure that we'll hear more about Lord. I don't. What is his last name? I should have written it down. Her.
Dromden or whatever, who she
Yeah.
was engaged to.
No, her dad. Her dad.
Oh, Brisbane.
Yes, Brisbane. I feel like we'll hear more about him, but I am curious to see if we do figure out who her biological father is in the second book.
Yeah, I'm curious on who he is too, or just more curious on just her overall. I mean, I totally saw where the ending of the first book went.
Right.
And I'm predicting in the second book that they find out that they're fated mates or whatever. I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
what this book calls them, but essentially fated mates. So our dark and broody, very traumatized prince in charge of the ravens, I think they're going to find out that they're soulmates. Which I don't know if that makes me happy or sad, but I don't know where else the rest of the book will go.
I really enjoy Sabian's character, but I don't really understand his point fully, I guess, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I mean, he's great, but I don't feel like he needed as much of a storyline as what he got, kind of, if that makes sense, you know, just because I felt like what we got with him was just kind of filler. So, I mean, and it was expected that his bonded mate had died and that he was bonded at one point in time. But, like, what does that say for him for the second book? I mean, really, what else is there to say for him, you know?
Other than he does this like weird thing where he like tries to make her realize that Mylar is super manipulative and
Right.
doesn't love her and whatever, and that, but he doesn't either. I mean,
he doesn't outright say it, but he does. The way that
yes,
he talks about her, he clearly has feelings, you
yeah,
know?
he has feelings, but it'll never be like true love.
Right.
I don't know, that whole like he does feel like a filler character, like just that little tiny bit of sunshine in
Yeah.
such a dark place, just to make it so you're not like, Jesus, this place is no wonder the humans hate the
Yeah.
ravens.
Yeah, exactly.
This was a much shorter read than we typically read too.
It was. I did kind of enjoy that about it. I will say that with the way that the story goes, I wasn't mad at it being a bit shorter. Had it dragged on anymore, I don't know that. I mean, I would have finished it because I don't like them. I don't like leaving books unfinished. But
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, well, that's not true. I DNF books. I DNF quite a few, and not on purpose, not intentional.
that's fair.
I put it down because I need a break from it because I'm upset about something, and then I'm like, I'll
I
pick
do
you back up, and then it goes on the bookshelf, and then I forget about it. I did that with Iron Flame, so eventually I go back. Onyx Storm was coming out, and I was like, shit, I gotta finish Iron Flame. Never even finished that
I
one.
remember that because I borrowed it from
Yeah,
you
you
and you
borrowed
wrote your page number in it on a sticky note.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
hilarious.
She stole my copy. She was like, "No, this is my copy," and I was like, "Bitch, my sticky note is still in it that I get from Maddie. That is definitely my copy."
That's amazing.
I'm pretty sure she gave her copy to like her aunt in law and just forgot. Which I don't care. In the end, I don't really
Right.
care because I have it on audiobook too. But, and she's my sister. It's not like I don't know where she lives.
Right.
But
This was one even with the length. I bookmarked, I tabbied a lot in this.
oh, nice. You talked about
Yes.
wanting to do that more, like the annotations or whatever.
It was a lot easier for me to do it this way rather than writing down notes. Honestly, it's my copy of the damn book. You know, like
Yeah.
if I don't know, if somebody truly wants to borrow it, they can deal with it. That's not my issue.
I have found a new love language, which is annotating my favorite books for other people. I don't like annotating books for myself, but if
Mhm.
I'm like reading something with the intent of giving it away,
Right.
I'm like, oh, I want to highlight this. They'll like this part.
I
Which
do
I
like
did that with my copy of your book,
yes. Yes.
with
This
your
one,
copy of my book. I knew that wasn't
yes.
right.
This one I just kind of marked certain spots that I thought we could discuss. Like
Heck yeah.
Risa's death, I felt like that was sudden and expected, but sudden nonetheless. I thought that we'd get a little bit more time with her than what we did.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought for sure, like, I figured something was going to happen on their travel to the other kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I thought maybe the lord from the other kingdom would be the one to kill her nursemaid, because what 18-year-old still has their nursemaid? But I could have gone either way on that. It could have been the Ravens. It could have been the Lord. I didn't know where it was going to occur, but I kind of saw it coming. Or old age, because she was just old.
It was kind of expected. I feel like with the amount of goodbye that we were already kind of getting with her going to live with Prince Domran, which I want to get into more of that too, because I do think you're right. I think that we will see him in the second book. I think that if Sabian does get more of a storyline, it probably will be towards killing or trying to attack Domran. In some way.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I was actually pretty shocked when I read that part. That's not what I was expecting.
I will say, like, every character was extremely justified in the choices that they made, even though, if, like, hindsight's 2020 and they might have changed those decisions now that they were older. I understood where they were coming from, which I think is impressive. Like, sometimes, you know, when you're writing, you're like, why would they make that choice? That doesn't make any sense. And then you find out later down the road that it just fit better with the story. Right. I think that every single person made choices that made sense based off of their past.
I agree with that.
Except for maybe Lorne. I think Lorne's a little bit of a character. She could refusing her mate. I mean, yeah, she went through something terrible.
Right.
But I think it's a little strange for her to completely refuse her mate and then screw the other guy instead.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And get so offended when he chooses his wife, mate, whatever you want to call her. You know,
right.
I mean, she was so violent and so vicious, and
there must be something else that happened during their captivity that we don't understand. We do realize that she had a baby.
Yeah, we did hear a couple, didn't she?
I don't know. I think it was just the one that they escaped with and that they knew was bound to die, but she took it anyway. What if that is her? What if that is no, it couldn't be. Never mind. I'm answering my own questions. I have to think back.
But I do think that that same day when they escape, they come up on that cliff and he can see Mailer, whatever you want to call him. He can see Galantia down at the beach running around, and he calls her White Dove because he sees that white dove circling. What if that wasn't a white dove? What if it was a white raven?
Like her,
yeah. Well, it was that dad, maybe, and maybe they just didn't realize it.
I mean, they both could have been wrong on what bird it was. Yeah, because she called it a seagull.
Yeah,
like it definitely wasn't a seagull; it was a dove. But he was.
Which are two very different birds.
Yeah. Fun fact about me: I hate doves. Burning passion. I hate them.
I don't know what it is, but I tend to collect friends that have issues with birds. I don't know what it is.
Like any other bird is fine. I had growing up, I had this window overhang outside of my bedroom, and I had the same fucking bird lay her eggs in my window every year, and every year she built the world's shittiest nest, and they fell and broke on the ground, and then she'd cry for the fucking spring, and it's horrible and it's sad, but it was so annoying. I was like, build a better nest, be better. Anyway.
That's amazing.
And yeah, doves are dumb, and therefore I don't like them. That's probably a really terrible take, but it was years, and it probably was a different dove eventually, but it was years.
That's hilarious. I love that. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Yeah. I find it a little odd. I know that Maller had this whole ulterior motive and everything, but I do find it kind of odd that he was so threatened by Sabian that rather than just talking to him, he sent him away. Like, he purposefully made him believe the prince was nearby.
I think it's because he actually loves Galentia. I can read it in my head, but now I can't pronounce it. I think that it's because Mylar actually loved her and knew that Sabian would have been able to talk him out of it. So he had to separate him, because if Sabian had that conversation with him, he probably would have just given in, because he did love her. Because I think they're mates. Anyway.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think that somebody could physically fake that much affection for somebody. On top of that, we hear beforehand in the beginning of the book how he can't keep his eyes off of her.
Mm-hmm.
And how he's constantly watching her, and that just really feels like a Zaid Meadows. So I feel like you're not wrong. I feel like they probably are fated mates, or we're gonna get some weird ass spin and they're gonna be siblings. So
ooh, I don't know how I feel about that
possibility.
How do you feel? I think she's going to be the reason in this. All right, now I have a second book theory. Now that we've sat here and talked for a minute, I'll get my thoughts straight in a second. I think she's going to be the reason that they can pull the shadows away from his
Voltaris.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't think about that. She could be the light or something to his dark.
To pull those shadows away. I think that's
interesting.
The reason I couldn't remember the name of it is because it was so stuck with Valaris from Akatar that I think maybe I skipped over it in my head and was just like, I'm never going to remember that because it's going to always be related to Akatar. Which it's not like it's described, it's just the names are somewhat similar.
Right.
But yeah, I think that she's going to be able to pull the shadows away. And maybe they find out, maybe not all those people died. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping. I don't know. I feel like that's an insane amount of power for one person to have, to be able to completely cut. Yeah. Like
and keep it leveled for.
And I mean, we hear that he has a strong bloodline, but why is it that he is the one that's finally strong enough to do that?
Wasn't he a half-blood?
Yeah.
He's not even a full raven.
He's not even full.
Yeah.
Right. No, he is full, isn't he? Because his parents were fated. Shit.
I feel like I'm missing something very important. Because I thought that his dad took a human mate and they were fated, but she was human. Is that not how that worked?
Maybe it was. Maybe I misunderstood.
We finished this book 2 days ago. What do you mean we can't remember?
It's not that I can't remember. I just don't.
Yesterday. We finished it yesterday.
Yeah, it's just that I don't really know.
His bloodline, the whole Raven bloodline was very confusing.
It was confusing.
Not.
But because that's why they were at war, was because his father took his mother to be his wife because they were fated. But I do remember reading something about him being a freaking half-breed. So now I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure he calls himself like not Half-Blood Prince because that's Harry Potter shit, but like something along those lines.
It's when he's insulting Galantia. I know what you're talking about. I don't know. We might have to go back and look into that because, or maybe a reader can drop
listeners,
it. Yeah.
listeners who read the book with us or read the book with our episodes.
Yes.
We have to record in advance because we like to take big time off every now and then
Yes.
because we have way too much shit going on.
Way too much.
And I idiotically today was like, I'm going to set up my TikTok shop so I can sell my book on TikTok. But the ban is supposed to go into effect on Saturday.
Do we actually think that's, I mean, I know this
No.
is not on topic at all. Do we think that's going to take?
No. Listen,
I mean,
all of our listeners in a month are going to be like, it never happened.
No, yeah. That or we'll be sitting here looking stupid on YouTube trying to.
What else is new? I always end up looking stupid on something.
Some social media.
Insert social media here.
Yeah, no shit. Mine.
It's really going to bother you now, huh?
Yes, it is. It really is ticking me off. I'm wondering, I know that none of these little tabbies are that part either, and that's what infuriates me even more, is that I thought about marking it and I didn't.
And I literally was like trying to go back in my Kindle Unlimited and be like, where was that? And I can't think of it right off the top of my head. Well, we'll get answers in book 2.
Yeah, we will. You're right. That's always, it's something we can come back to for sure.
Yes. We'll circle back. Somebody remind us.
Yes. I do find I fucking hate Cece's character, and let me just say that I hate her from the beginning. Okay. Yeah, yes. Thank you. She is that stupid bitch that comes up to you when you first start dating your boyfriend and she goes, "Oh my god, you're so pretty. You guys are so cute together." That's how I imagined her.
She's like, I've definitely tried to get him in my bed, but it didn't work.
What did you do to get the both of them? Like, I don't know. Like,
I was a virgin.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not a whore. No.
Oh my gosh. I will say there was one sex scene that I totally misread, which was when she was ovulating.
Uh-huh.
And I misread the whole, like, I knew he came on her back. They mixed the whole thing was weird. They mixed semens.
Oh,
and
yeah.
for some reason, I was under the impression that he put it inside of her. Wrong hole. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he put that in the back door. And I was like, if you didn't want to get her pregnant, what the fuck are you doing? I'm so confused right now.
You're right. I thought it was.
It wasn't until the later sex scene where he was like, I could do this again here. And I was like, that's her ass. That I was like, oh. Got it.
Sabian does, though, at one point.
Yes, but she wasn't.
Actually, right?
Yes, but I don't think she was ovulating because he can taste it with his.
Yeah, he is. He has the ability to smell it.
I'm so glad that you had the same reaction. Now, I'm all for a well-written smut scene, but when he was like, "Oh, you're ovulating," I was like,
I
disgusting.
quite literally put the bookmark in my book and closed it. I was like, "That's enough for a minute. That is enough of that." Like,
too much information.
God. It made me want to gag. It was so nasty. I also didn't love I don't mind biting. It doesn't normally bother me, at least reading about it. That's fine. But what is going on with my camera? It's like not focusing. Anyways, but I did not enjoy the biting into her carving. The sigil that he had carved onto her chest.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
I was like, dick move. You already carved her up with a knife. You
Yeah.
really gotta
You're gonna add
rub
teeth
salt in
marks
that
to
wound?
it?
I don't know. And the
It's
whole
like,
book takes place over like maybe a month and a half,
yeah,
maybe 2 months. So you know that wound wasn't healed. He
no.
literally carved his sigil into her chest. Yeah, you know that wound wasn't healed.
No. Oh god. I hope he got pus in his mouth. Check out.
I was not prepared. Wow. You're and you know what's funny is when I first started this book and I read it, my problem is I read books late at night
Yeah.
because I can't sleep. And so I read, and then at 3 a.m, anything you read is great. So I
True.
texted you, was like, this is a great book, you're gonna love this. And then come Sunday, we're both like, neither one of us were like, we really just don't have it in us to finish the last 100 pages because we both know what's coming. Not so great anymore when it's not 3 a.m. Not that it's a bad book. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars.
I was gonna say I still gave it a 4 out of 5. I do think that it has a good storyline. I just feel like everything that was done in the book could have been done with more detail, and that would have made it just a little bit better than what it was, you know?
For sure. And then I'm hoping book 2 rounds it out, because book 2 can change my star rating on book 1 for sure.
Right.
If book 2 is like completely bad, not that I expect it to be, but if book 2 is like completely bad, I mean, what the fuck was the point in book 1? Like,
Right.
that'll set me up for failure, or it could turn it the other way and be like, oh yeah, no, I was wrong about book 1. It's a 5-star read. I didn't notice half this shit that it related to in book 2.
Right.
So
also, is he supposed to be bi? Is he straight with a gay fetish? Is he?
I think he's bi.
I mean, because we don't really. I mean, we hear that.
Lauren
We hear Lorne,
comment.
make the horrific comment, but beyond that, I mean, we hear him say, like, he talks about it a little bit, that your dad made me like this, you know, but he doesn't like right out say that he likes men.
Maybe he likes pegging. I don't know.
And that could be, there was for a brief few chapters in the beginning of the 3 of them kind of being together as a little throuple type dealio.
A Y2's moment, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wondered if that was almost like Mallory was attracted to Sabian. You know, but
I did the same thing where I was like, oh, they couldn't be fated mates because he's gay.
Yeah.
And that would just be cruel. But then, and then he did the whole scene where like I can't get you out of my mind, like you're the only thing I'm attracted to, like, and that whole thing
about his fated mate and says that it's a woman. So I don't know, I was just curious what your take was on that. Like, maybe it's just because of the abuse that he feels the need to abuse in that same way, or is he, you know, did he actually change his sexual orientation based on that?
Maybe I think something definitely is awry with that, with his neurons around sex, because I mean, obviously there's something wrong with him. He thinks it's great to choke her out and cause her, but no kink shaming here. What you're into.
Not at all. Yeah.
Whatever. But I was like, the way he just kept bringing up the fact that he was that way because of what happened to him,
right?
And then not wanting to touch her at first, like having Sabian screw her rather than him. And I was like, all right, like that was scene at first. I was like, that's bizarre. Like,
yeah, okay. I found that odd too. I was like, oh,
you're
so
engaged
you're really
to her with your best friend.
Yeah. That one was bizarre, especially because it was directly after she came in and was like begging him to marry her. So it's like, hey, marry me, but also at the same time, I'm gonna go fuck him
in front of
while you watch. Yeah,
like, but not in a cuck way.
No.
Oh man, I don't know. I did think I really hope that they enlighten a little bit more on that in book 2, because I had the same questions where I was like, is he gay? Is he bi? Does he just like pegging? Maybe he only likes ass stuff now. I don't. All of the above. I don't know.
I don't know, because doesn't he actually finish in her at one point?
Her ass. He finishes in her ass.
Are you? I swear to God that he actually
I don't think
finished
he ever.
in.
Well, maybe
He talks about receiving his seed, which, by the way, I
hate that
fucking
line.
hate that they have to call it. I mean, I don't know they don't have to, but I hate that they do. Stop saying that. It's gross.
I think maybe the bathtub scene where she screws him in the bathtub.
Yeah.
That might have been like the most vanilla sex they had that was normal. But I think for the most part, the sex scenes we read with them, he's doing her in the ass.
Interesting.
I don't know, because again, I was confused on which hole they were talking about. So
Clearly, so was I.
it wasn't until later that things started to click, and I went, and I'm not into butt stuff, so I was extra confused. But
I am not either. It's not. It scares me, if I'm being really honest. I don't know. Because I mean, I remember reading the part where, Lauren comes out and says it, and then there's another part where he kind of, I think it's the first time that they're screwing after the Kajar or whatever, the festival, where he kind of is screaming it at her when he's degrading her. But otherwise, like, it doesn't do much differentiating when he's actually fucking her. So,
no,
I don't know. Interesting.
This book had a lot of sex, which is why
a lot. Like, a lot.
But at the same time, I feel like the sex urged the plot further, which was impressive because usually it doesn't. It's just there.
It was somehow beneficial to the plot. It also, I don't know. It was different every time. Like,
for sure.
Was not the same sex scene over and over and over again. So that was imaginative.
I want that scene that clipped.
You got it.
I don't know. Okay, listeners, I want your point of view. Did you think that the sex was good for the plot, or was it bad? Because there are definitely romance books, and I think this is more of a common occurrence now, where the sex is just there and it overtakes the plot. It doesn't encourage the plot, but I think she did a good job of the sex encouraging the plot, or it's just there and it just exists in the story, which people have sex, so it's fine.
Right. I thought it was a nice additive. There wasn't ever a point with this one where I sat there and I thought, oh my God, okay, they're fucking again. Like, sometimes in certain books, I sit there and I'm like, Jesus Christ, get it over with. Like,
nobody has this high of a sex drive.
No. By the way, how are you fucking her that many times a night? That hurts. She's hurting. Like, that is.
You're both hurting. You can't tell me that a man can orgasm that many times without being like, ow.
Yeah, that's not.
The blood just has to stop flowing at some point, unless you're taking some kind of supplement.
I mean, God, for real. I mean, I know it's a book, and you're gonna all say that this is your fantasy world, and not to ruin it for you, but let's bring a little bit of reality into it, because goddamn.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. I did like it though in this one. I didn't think it was bad. A
little more detail and more.
I'd like to understand her home life a little more. I'd like to understand her home life a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie, when we first started the book, I thought she was a kid. Like,
yeah, so did I.
So
I was like, whoa.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden she's going off to marry somebody. And I was like, well, hold the fuck up. I thought she was like 12. So what's happening? Now she's 18.
Yeah, I did I did the same thing. Oh. I just got a notification of a missing child in my area.
Oh, that's not good.
We'll cut this out. Sorry. But overall, I think the book was great.
I think so too. I thought they did a good job with it. I am excited to read the second one. It should be here this week, so I'm excited for that. Also, if you guys purchase a this is not a hardcover, a paperback, there's these cool little designs all over the pages, so that's kind of cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
I wish self-publishing made that a little easier.
I was actually going to ask you about that. Is it just something that you have to pay extra for when you're getting the book printed, or is it
Amazon? At least I'm certain that there's other self-publishers out there, but I went with Amazon because it's the most publicly available, and I wanted Kindle Unlimited, which you can only do through Amazon, but they don't allow sprayed edges. I mean, just formatting the book itself for their specifications and like the images and stuff, that there's a reason my book doesn't have those, and it was because it was really hard for me to format correctly and look good. Plus they have a page limit. There's only 600 pages, so my first draft was 850 pages, and they were like, so I had to like shrink everything. I was like 11-point font. Let me get rid of this gap here. I was doing everything I could to make it fit, and then I got it down well within the range. A 11-point font did most of that. That was crazy. I went from 12-point font to 11-point font, and it took off like 150 pages, and I was like, oh, okay. Plus rearranging the margins and stuff. But yeah, Amazon doesn't allow that, so I would love to have some sprayed edged copies of my book, but maybe someday I'll get picked up by an actual publisher. If you're listening.
That would be really cool. If not, we should just do it, because that would be cool too.
Yeah, I'll just make my own.
Checking my notes.
I was like, did you have anything else? I didn't have it. I really wanted to just talk about her mom being weird and then it making sense.
Yeah, I am a little curious as to why he felt the need to mention to her that her mom had told her "I love you" over and over and over again, and that
she was sorry.
She was sorry. So I'm a little curious to see where that leads in the next book. For whatever reason, I feel like she's going to be dead in the next book. I feel like we're going to lose her mom.
That could be. Maybe when she finally gets back home for her wedding, that's what she finds.
That, or I mean, I don't know if they're going through with the wedding still, with her finding Cece in her dress. So I'm curious, or in a copy of her dress, but I am curious to see how it plays out, because we know that the wagons have already been delivered that have the chains and wood pieces and things like that. And
and the ballistas and whatnot. Siege weapons.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested. I like how at the beginning I was like, I have no idea where book 2 is going to go. And then I'm like, oh yeah, there's going to be a siege on a kingdom. There's going to be... No, I think that... I definitely think that... I still think they're going to end up married. Now that she's a raven, I think he's going to kind of have to. Because I think the whole reason he wasn't interested was, 1, she was Brisbane. Right. And 2, she wasn't a raven. My hand's out of frame and it's making me mad because I talk with my hands. Weird ADHD shit, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm excited though. My book should be here later this week, so I'll probably get started on that this weekend.
Yes. Yeah, so book 2 is what we're going to read next, and then we're thinking a standalone.
Yes, so maybe recommend some in the comments. We do have a to be read list, but it's always nice to add the recommendations.
We would love recommendations. We will. I'm trying to think.
I was like, pull up the name of the second book really quickly. I should have done this before we started, just so that they had it. The second book is called, please let me click on that. Come on. Goodness gracious.
Oh, Lord Amazon, get it together.
Seriously. It is called Shadows So Cruel, Court of Ravens #2.
And for anybody wondering, we spend our own money. These are not sponsored.
Oh yeah,
We
all of these.
yeah, we literally buy the books and read them, and these are our honest reviews. Like, obviously, if an author wants us to read their book, we'll read it, but we're gonna pay for it, and yeah. So
Yep. So we want to support you guys as well as you guys supporting us. So
yes, for sure. All right,
right.
we will see you next Tuesday for Shadow So Cruel. Is that what you said it was?
Yep.
I thought
Shadows
so.
So Cruel, episode 5. Yeah. Holy
That's
crap.
crazy. This is so
This is so
exciting.
cool. I know. Heck yeah.